I had a series of visions when I was younger. And after each one ended, the same thought would be stuck in my head.
After making her debut in The Conjuring 2, the nun was the second character in this Conjuring universe to get her very own film, coming hot off the heels of The Conjuring, and the nun follows a priest and a novice on the threshold of her final vows who are sent by the Vatican to investigate the death of a young nun in Romania and confront a malevolent force in the form of a demonic nun. When the nun first appeared in The Conjuring 2, I thought that was one of the most suspenseful and fantastic sequences in the entire film. Even though she was added at the very last moment, I think it added a little bit to that character, and I think a lot of people after seeing that sequence really wanted the nun to have her own spin-off, because I thought you could do a lot with this character to make a fun and engaging story. And going into this movie, I was really excited because I really wanted to see what they were going to do, especially after the cast that they got. They got Damien Bashir to play the priest, Taisa Farmiga, who was Vera Farmiga's sister, to play the sister. So you have that Conjuring connection, even though these two characters are completely different and set in a different time. You had the makings for a right movie, and when I came out, I was severely disappointed. Now, I don't think this is one of the worst films in the Conjuring universe, mostly because I think there is enough in here that made it at least somewhat watchable. For starters, I think the aesthetic and the setting that we have here, with this movie just taking place in a castle, the cinematography and the atmosphere is what draws you in, and it's what really makes this movie kind of watchable to a certain extent. The cinematography for this movie is absolutely beautiful and breathtaking, that it does create that creepy atmosphere that you would want from a movie like this. That is what keeps this movie afloat, and that is something that I really enjoyed. Also, I really enjoyed the opening of this movie to set this whole up. This is where the beginning of my disappointment really comes in, because you have these nuns running from a demonic force and they are just trying to get away as fast as possible, and just the way that scene was set up, just making it really creepy and atmospheric, was something that I was really drawn in. Even though the dialogue at times in that opening wasn't the best, but it still captured my attention and I was locked in, especially when one of the nuns unalives herself and you just have that creepy push of the nun, just her face showing up in the window. I thought that set this movie up to be fantastic. Then the movie starts, and that is where we are just in for a lot of disappointment. While I think Damien Bashir and Taisa Farmiga have wonderful chemistry and they do the very best they can with the material that they are given, and they are the strongest parts about this movie. I really enjoy whenever they are on screen and whenever they have to interact with one another, trying to figure out what's actually going on here, seeing if there's anything that they are able to do. Once they get the demonic nun to do a lot of her creepy shit, that's when this movie starts to lose its momentum and it starts divulging into a bunch of cliches that the first Annabelle ran into, which is nothing but loud bangs and jump scares. Even though I did enjoy what Gary Dauberman did with Annabelle creation, and up to this point he had written the first It, I thought that he would have learned his lesson from the first Annabelle film and not repeat those same mistakes in here, but he does. No idea why his writing hands went to this place, but it went into the most straight up cliched horror film you can possibly think of. And while there are moments in here where the tension is great and the creepiness happens, one of the creepiest scenes happens towards the end of the film, where you have the nun just coming up out of the water and she's slowly rising. The way that that whole sequence with the lighting, the way the nun appears slowly out of the water, the musical score to accompany it, I wanted more moments like that, but it just never reaches those potentials, and it should have. This is a movie that should have reached those potentials and not diverge into its own cliched horror jump scares that the first Annabelle did. Then you have a new character played by Jonas Boquet who plays Frenchie. He is used great as comedic relief in the first half of this movie, and then he just magically disappears in the second act and then reappears in the third act, which makes me hate his character even more in The Nun 2, which we're going to be getting to that later. But I thought he was used okay. That character, in this movie and in The Nun 2, just have never really worked for me, mostly because of the way that they write him. he's just not that much of a character, and I felt like he was just in here to really tie us into the opening of The Conjuring and set that movie up for fans of this universe, for fans that have seen the first Conjuring film. Overall, this is a movie that had a lot of potential that just went to waste. Some creepy moments here and there that I really enjoyed and I thought were effective for the most part, but other than that, it just diverges into everything that I hate about the first Annabelle film. Cheap jump scares, not effective jump scares, some creepy atmosphere here and there, and the performances here are better handled than the first Annabelle film, but that's not really saying much when this movie had so much potential to be awesome and it just completely wasted that. But those are my thoughts on The Nun. Let me know down in the comments if this was a movie that was really disappointing to you or if it's one that you just have fun for what it is. I will admit that this movie does diverge into its cheesiness at times and it kind of knows what it is. I just wish it knew to be good. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments and we'll catch you guys for the next video.